Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name's Erica and today we are going to be doing my June mid-month wrap up. So again, I did not do a May end of month wrap up because I just didn't have enough books to talk about. So this is going to be all of the books I read from the middle of May to the middle of June. So one full month we'll be talking about, and I read 10 books in that time, and I'm super excited to talk to you about them. Okay, the first book I have to talk to you about is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. The glare is super bad. This is a romance book that involves a love triangle, so know that going into it. And this is about Ariana, who just graduated high school, and she has a friend group that involves her best friend Cam, girl best friend Cam, and then 3 guy friends who are Chase. I can't think of the other guy's name, but he's not really that important. And then her twin brother, Mason. And they're all friends, grow up together, hang out together all the time. And Ariana has always had a crush on Chase. But her brother, Mason, has always, said, no way. Has made it very clear to everybody that no one can touch Ariana. So they've always kind of avoided it and never really acted on it. And then one summer, they go and stay in a lake house that their parents got for them. And Chase and Ariana kind of explore their feelings for each other, and then something happens and they don't talk, and then we have a flashback or a flash forward, sorry, that's 6 weeks in the future, and they're all at college together, and Ariana has met somebody new, and she still kind of has these feelings for Chase. So it's a love triangle, and I ended up really liking this. I gave it 4 stars. My only complaints with this book are it got a little bit boring in the middle. And I was almost going to DNF it because I was so bored. But then right when I was about to DNF it, something crazy happened and the whole direction of the plot changed. And it got kind of over the top and dramatic in a really good way that I enjoyed. So yeah, that part I didn't love. It got a little bit slow in the middle, but then it was full speed ahead. And then also the other thing I didn't like is this writing is so incredibly cheesy. The dialogue, especially between the two, between the main character and her best friend, is really cringy, and it's really hard to read and ignore. But if you can ignore that, I feel like it gets better in the second half of the book. So as long as you can get past the cheesiness of that, I feel like this is a really, really solid book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I will just say I was spoiled on who she was going to end up with in this book just by reviews. So I wish that I wasn't spoiled and didn't know who she was going to end up with, because I feel like it would have been hard for me to guess who she would have ended up with, and I would have really enjoyed that, but I knew. So that kind of got ruined for me. Wasn't anyone's fault, just I was looking up reviews and people were talking about who she ended up with, and yeah, so I feel like if I didn't know that going into it, I would have enjoyed it even more. I did give it 4 stars overall because I really did enjoy it. There's just that little slow part in the middle, and then the writing was a little bit cheesy, but overall I really, really enjoyed this. Next, I read a book that literally everyone has been talking about, and I have a whole vlog on my channel with this, and actually Say You Swear I have in it too, and another book that I'll talk about, or 2 other books that I'll talk about in a minute. So if you want to go watch that vlog, I'll link it down below, and I have a whole bunch of thoughts on this book. But I will just say I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was a really solid first book in a fantasy romance series. I think the series will get even better as it goes on, and I do see some people's problems with this, but they weren't anything that really bothered me. And if you don't know what this is about Violet, who is going to the school to become a dragon rider, and she has always thought that she would become a scribe, and she is pretty weak. She has a disability, and she's smaller than everybody else, and everyone's dying left and right, and she always has trained to be a scribe, but her mother and all of her siblings are really accomplished dragon riders, so her mother basically forces her to go be a dragon rider. And then she meets this guy who is her family's enemy there, and it's a fantasy romance. So I thought it was really good. I liked the dragon aspect of it. I wasn't obsessed with it as much as everyone else is. I gave it 4 stars. Like I said, it was really solid read for me. I do see people's criticism about Xaden and Violet not really being enemies, and there's a few other things that people have critiqued that I understand. I did feel like the world building in this was basically non-existent, and I think we'll get more of that in later books. But that is something that really bothered me in this first book, is I was a little bit confused on why we were there, what we were doing, who are we fighting, why are people riding dragons. All of that was a little bit fuzzy for me, so I didn't enjoy it as much as some other people, but I still give it a 4-star. Next, I read Rebel by Callie Hart. I was really just craving a motorcycle club romance, and I read Requiem earlier this year and really enjoyed it, so I decided to pick this one up. And it was just okay for me. This is about a girl who ends up getting like kidnapped from this organized crime. I think it's the cartel. It doesn't full out say, but like from what I gathered, it's the cartel. And so she gets kidnapped by them because they witness she witnesses them murder a judge. So they like kidnap her, and they're going to sell her like human trafficking. And this MC club member wants to buy her because the judge that was murdered was his uncle, and he wants information on it. So he ends up purchasing her from the cartel so that he can get information from her. And she thinks that he's purchasing her to, you know, not do good things. And it ends up being their romance. And yeah, I thought it was just very okay. It wasn't anything that stood out to me. I listened to the audiobook, and I don't really recommend that. The male narrator did not work for like a male tough MC guy. It really didn't work. And yeah, it overall was like really forgettable. I'm having a hard time even telling you the plot because I don't really remember that much of it. And I probably won't continue on with the series. Next, I read Manacled by Sen Lin Yu, and this is in that vlog that I will post down below so you can hear all of my thoughts on that. But this was incredible. This was a 5-star reading experience for me. If you don't know what this is a fanfic that is Harry Potter meets The Handmaid's Tale, and this follows as if Voldemort won the war, and they're trying to do like a repopulation effort for like pure-blooded wizards. So Draco Malfoy ends up getting Hermione to repopulate, and this book is very incredibly dark. It has really dark themes, obviously, and it feels pretty hopeless for most of the book, so I definitely caution you on picking this up. It's also like 1,000 pages or something crazy, but when I tell you it is worth every single second, it is worth every single second, and the pain is all like worth it. This book is so amazing. I'm so glad that I ended up reading it, and I cannot wait to read more fanfics. This was so long, but every single page felt important to the story. There's even 3 epilogues, and I wouldn't have missed a single second. Literally, I think I have 2 complaints, and that is, it took me, I think like the whole book really, or like most of the book, to feel like these were Draco and Hermione characters. I felt pretty disconnected to the fact that they were part of that series, if that made sense. And I don't think that's any fault of like the writing or anything like that. I think it was just me in my head, like knowing that this wasn't really part of the series. I don't know how to explain that. I just felt disconnected to the fact that that was Draco and Hermione. And then also, this is such a small little thing. I really, really, really wish, if you've read this, you will know what I'm talking about. I really wish that Draco taught Hermione how to fold paper crayons again. That is like a scene I wanted to see so badly, and it didn't happen. And yeah, if you've read Manacled, you'll know what I'm talking about. And like, even if you haven't read Manacled, you've probably seen like the paper crayons. I really wish that Draco just taught Hermione how to fold them again. But that's all I have to complain about. It was amazing. It was a 5-star read. I have already downloaded way more fan fictions onto my Kindle. If you have any recommendations, please let me know. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts, definitely go watch that vlog. I read The Emperor of Evening Stars by Laura Thalassa. This is 2.5 in the Bargainer series, and I'm slowly making my way through that series. The audiobook just came out for this, so I read it in like a couple of hours. And I am not someone who loves novellas, let me just say that. But I will say I really enjoyed the first half of this. I liked seeing Dez's background story and being in his perspective and seeing how his life played out. I really enjoyed that. The second half was basically like a fast forward of what had already happened in Dez's point of view. It's like a fast forward of like his moments with Callie and from his point of view, and I could have done without that. It really didn't add anything to the story. So overall, I'm giving this a 3-star. I really, really enjoyed the first half. The second half, not that great. Here comes Griffey. Hi. I'm trying to, okay. I'm trying to film a video right now. So if you could maybe move. Oh, hi. Oh, so handsome. Oh, so handsome. I'm going to try to finish what I was doing. Now there's dog hair everywhere. Okay, I read the first Zodiac Academy book, and this is called The Awakening, and I listened to this on audio and followed along, and I thought it was just a fun time. It really, I wasn't obsessed with it. I feel like everyone is obsessed with the series, and I didn't really get that, but I think that people get more obsessed with it as it goes, and I'm currently reading the second one, and I am liking it more than I like this one already. So I ended up giving this a 3.5 stars. The writing isn't anything great, and there's no romance in this first one, and the plot was just, didn't really seem like it was going many places. So yeah, I ended up giving it a 3.5. I did really enjoy my time reading it, but I wasn't obsessed with it. And if you don't know, this follows two twins, Darcy and Tori, who are living in Chicago, and they're kind of just struggling. Both of their parents have died. And then one day someone comes and tells them that they are Fae royalty and that they need to go to this school to collect their inheritance. They are the daughters of the king and queen in this Fae world that have died. So the celestial heirs have been ruling this world, and now Tori and Darcy are going there and they're threatening that position for them. So they are getting bullied. This is a bully romance, so if you don't like that, you probably won't like this. But yeah, so the celestial heirs that go to this school are bullying Tori and Darcy because they are threatened, and it's kind of just them just navigating this new world and being bullied by these boys. And yeah, like I said, I just thought it was okay. I am going to continue on with the series though, and I hope that it does get a little bit better for me. Next, I read my least favorite book of the year so far, and that was my buddy read with Victoria and Autumn. This was my pick, and it did not go well for any of us, but this is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. And this is about a couple that meets in college, and they have a short little romance. And then the guy is a photographer, so he goes on a internship somewhere, and then the girl is offered to go on this year-and-a-half long orchestra tour, I think, and she keeps turning it down because everyone thinks it's because she doesn't want to leave this guy. I can't even think of his name, Matt. Everyone thinks it's because she doesn't want to leave Matt, and she keeps saying it's not that, but it isn't confirmed, but it basically is that. And then when he leaves to go on his 3-month internship, she reads an article about him saying that he's extending it to 6 months or something. And she tries to contact him and can't get a hold of him. And then she's just mad. And then they separate for 15 years, and she's just bitter and angry. And then they run into each other in New York 15 years later, and that has a second chance romance aspect to it. And this book felt like John Green tried to write an adult romance, and it did not work at all. The characters, especially when they were in college, felt way too pretentious. Ugh, no, I can't stand them. Matt was a douchebag. The ending was just huge miscommunication that could have been solved in 15 million different ways, and it just wasn't. And that was so annoying to me. I could rant about this book forever, but Matt was an asshole and definitely a narcissist. There was plenty of toxic manipulative moments that happened between the two of them, and not in a fun way, just bad. And yeah, I did not enjoy this at all. I hated the way this ended. The ending was absolutely awful. The first 25% of this book was going fine for me, and really just took a nosedive. It was not good at all. I hated every second of it. So that's that book. I give it 1.5 stars. I ended up giving it 2 stars, but then I was no, I actually hate this book, and it's the worst book that I read this year. So I'm giving it 1.5 stars because there's books that I've read that I liked more than that I gave 2 stars, and I did finish the whole thing, so I feel 1 star is I didn't finish it, so I gave it a 1.5. If you like that book, I'm sorry. Next, I read Give Me More by Sarah Kate. This is my first Sarah Kate book, my first Salacious Players Club book. I wanted to start with the 3rd book because 1, I already owned it, and 2, it's Pride Month, so I wanted to read something for that. So if you don't know, this does feature 5 characters, and this, let me rewind, I'm sure you know, but Give Me More is about a couple, a married couple, and their best friend Drake, and they are going on a tour around the country to check out other sex clubs to kind of get ideas for their own. And Drake, which is the best friend, and Isabel, which is the wife of the couple, end up doing this like demonstration together at one of the sex clubs, and Hunter, the husband, realizes that he is into that, watching them like be intimate with each other. So he ends up asking if they would do that, if they would be intimate together and he could watch, and it kind of ends up being their romance from there. Drake is a bi character, like I said, and Hunter has kind of struggled with his sexuality from what I gathered. He had a really conservative father that put a lot of homophobic thoughts into Hunter and kind of made him feel ashamed of that. So it's kind of him like realizing his sexuality. I liked it way more than I thought I would, and yeah, I really enjoyed it overall. I listened to it and it was a great read. So next I read, okay, Griffin's back, but we're just gonna let it go. Next I read Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series. I was so excited for this book to come out. I had a feeling this one would be my favorite because it follows Winter, which is Summer's sister, and I just had a feeling I would relate to her, and especially when I heard this was going to be a surprise pregnancy, I knew I would relate to it on the fact that it would deal with motherhood and parenthood and dealing with relationships and navigating relationships through parenthood. So I knew that I would probably like this one the best, and I definitely did. I love this book so much. I give it 5 stars. It's my favorite one in the series. It's not a perfect book by any means. I will just say I kind of wish we saw more of Winter's growth as a character, because she kind of started out as like this not so great character, definitely a villain type character in the 1st book, and we start the book with her like that, but then we have a big time jump and she's just like a better person because she's a mom, and I wish we saw more of that growth. Actually, this month I read Praise by Sarah Kate because I liked Give Me More so much I wanted to go back and read Praise, and I kind of had a feeling I wouldn't really like this one because it has BDSM aspects in it, which I traditionally don't like, as an age gap, which I traditionally don't like, and I just kind of had a feeling that maybe this one wouldn't work for me, but I liked Give Me More so much that I wanted to give it a try, and I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. Sorry about the dogs. Like I knew, it just wasn't for me. It's not a book written for someone like me who doesn't like those tropes. Sorry, I was sitting on my knees and my legs fell asleep. I really did not feel Charlie and Emerson's connection at all on top of that, and I also, so the trope of like ex's dad doesn't bother me at all. Like, I really liked Birthday Girl, but I think because the relationship and this was so rushed and I really didn't feel like there was any relationship development, it bothered me because I felt like it wasn't justified for her to be dating her ex's dad. So overall, just really not a book for me, but I can definitely understand why people love this series so much. It's addicting, and like once you start, it's just like a fast-paced, fun time. So I might try to read Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate, which is the 2nd one, but I definitely won't be picking up Mercy or High Spitter because they're just not for me. And Madam Kink I might pick up too, or I think it's just called Madam, but I'm definitely interested in that one in the series, so I might pick up that one when that comes out. But that's all for this video today. Thank you for dealing with my crazy dogs with me and listening to me ramble about books. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.